Part of the rep, yeah, part of the things we do. We always have some kind of block in. It's just as the opportunity to present itself. So, usually when that happens, it's a good scheme, but also good execution. And it's unusual, again, for a guy who weighs 290 pounds to be involved in that. But he does some good things. And I can tell you also, he's got the heaviest hands, I think, of anybody I've ever been around. So when you slap hands with him, you feel it. So, it's good to see him just have some success. Really good for a new guy like that to come in and do that.
Coach, you talked about the mistakes in the first half, but last two games, one accepted penalty for 5 yards and came kind of on a fluke play there at the end. What do you credit that to?
Yeah, that is a positive, certainly. Just a little better concentration. That first game, I've never been a believer that you don't necessarily want to be first or second in penalty yardage, but you definitely want to be 3, 4, 5, somewhere in that ballpark. So, sometimes if you're not aggressive enough, you end up right at the top of that stack. But the false, or the just careless penalties, we had 4 of those in that first game, 3 false starts and the defensive offsides. It's hard to win consistently if you're guilty of that. So I'm just glad we were able to clean that up a little bit. The guys have done a better job.
In the first couple of weeks, you guys scored 24 points total in the first 2 drives. You guys really couldn't get going early, I guess. Not to put lipstick on a pig, but how satisfying was it that you guys really were able to get going in the second, third quarter?
Yeah, I'm just glad we got it going because it was we were so slow at the beginning there. But that's just the ebb and flow of a season. It's really hard to read too much into any one game, and we'll probably have more games like this, and probably some more like the ones before it. And it's just the ebb and flow, and really what counts is your response. How do you maneuver through those things? And so just happy to see that today, and happy to see the run game get started a little bit, and it's a good thing.
When you look at the running game, that's the highest output you've had in 4 years. What has helped, I guess, from game 1 to game 3, just a 2-week period here, to where it seems like they're hitting their aiming spots and then they're getting vertical when they need to?
I think I've been consistent in saying, just execution is such a big part of it, and then you have to have the potential to execute too. So I think the one thing about this year, it's a little bit more realistic to think that we can maybe start playing the way we like to play or have liked to play in the past. The last 2 years, we've had our challenges up front. We're not there yet, but we're certainly a more mature group just overall, physically, but also mentally up front. Then I'm anxious to see a film. So execution must have been a little bit better today, and it was a tricky preparation. So a lot of credit to our guys. The staff did a good job giving them a good plan. Yeah, and the backs ran hard. Tight ends have to block. The receivers have been doing a good job blocking. So if we're going to evolve as an offensive football team, that's going to be a big part of it. And I'd say it's a more realistic expectation because of the maturity the guys have up front right now.
What sort of an effect does the
Right
screen pass, that touchdown by LaShawn Williams, in taking the lead right before the half, what sort of an effect does that have on your halftime and on the team as a whole?
Hugely positive. That was the second halftime, right? The second intermission. I think we lead the league, lead the country maybe in 2 years now for intermissions. Time in the locker room unscheduled, but it was just a good spark play. These guys were really aggressive with their defensive plan. Good call, great execution, and just good to see LaShawn looked like LaShawn again. He was cramping up in that first week, and he's been practicing really well, including the spring. So good to see him back and have some success, and he certainly did a good job getting in the end zone. So that was great. It was a good lift for us for sure.
There was just such a big celebration around Max when he got that touchdown. What is it about him that draws so many guys to him, make them want to celebrate him so much?
Yeah, I mean, our guys really like each other as a team, and that's they've been that way since January. We've added guys along the way, but they really like each other as a team. And then Max is the guy who walked on here, had chances to go other places and receive aid, but came here. He works extremely hard in practice and just he's playing on special teams, doing a really good job right now. So the guys are really happy for got a little cheer from the crowd when that happened. Same thing with Stylianos. I think he seems to be a little bit of a crowd pleaser. And when Deacon hit that pass, all the guys on the sideline were, they're pretty enthused about that too. So the guys that don't get to play a lot, it's a lot easier if you're out there playing. But the guys who are doing all that work to see them get rewarded, it's a pretty cool thing.
At that point in the game, at that point in the game, you could just basically take knees if you want, but you had the second team in there. What made you decide to go ahead and push through?
They were strictly second team guys, and we're going to let them play. So and Deacon's worked hard. We're curious to see how he's going to operate a little bit too. Not that we were, air deacon, but gave him a chance to throw a couple in there, and just want to let our guys play. And the guys up front too. It's talked about the front line, at least our backup line. Now we can put 5 guys out there and not expect a disaster. We've had that situation before too, so it was kind of looked like they knew what they were doing. That's how they've been in practice, so it's good to see.
Seems like the
Jackson was pretty productive today, the most productive he's been in these first 3 games. Can you tell he's starting to feel a little bit more comfortable? What was the difference?
Absolutely. I think I just mentioned on the radio, there were 3 guys I'd cite in that regard. Thing about Nick, he played last year. Obviously, he played the last couple of years and played pretty well, but he's in a whole new system. Cade's kind of in that same boat, except he didn't play. So, he's working through that, and I think he missed time, a lot of time because of that injury, where he really couldn't, he could go out and maybe throw it, but he really wasn't practicing the way you have to. And I think he's probably pressing a little too hard and trying to do too much, be too perfect. So that'll come with repetition and practice. And then the other guy thrown in the same category as Jamari. I think somebody said it's 18 months since he's played. And, I don't care who you are. You can be a 10-year veteran in the NFL. When you miss time, significant time, you just don't go back out there and play the way you did when you left. So these are really good opportunities for guys to get the work in and be able to compete. And older guys like that have had success, they'll accelerate faster than maybe a first or second year guy.
How did you